Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. Today's episode 207, and significance of long vacations, aka mini retirements. I'm working, well, first of all, the background noise is my vehicle. It's my work commute, and this is my mobile studio because we're making the best of what we have, so forgive us for the background noise. But I want to talk today about mini retirements, the significance of it, because I'm experiencing right now, which I have not done in many, many years, is trading my time for dollars. I have a client, a job that's going on, and it's very hard to tell like how long it would take. So we did time and materials. I still own my own business. I'm still working for myself, but the client is paying me, and good money too, per hour to do the work. But it's changed the perspective of like when you're able to charge for something, when you're able to work basically, and it doesn't matter whether you get it done in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 10 hours, 15 hours, whatever, you're still going to get paid the same, right? In my line of work, I can get things done relatively quick and make bundles of money, right? If I work smarter and buy machinery and invest into things, I can make lots of money a lot quicker, and time really doesn't have anything to do with it. But it's a weird feeling that I've been getting about myself, and I think I should do a show on this. Trading your time for dollars is one of the worst things you can ever do. It's not really, really bad, but it just really kind of planes you out in some ways. Someone like me, at least. I think there's different people in the world. It makes me just feel like everything's just monotonous, and I'm like, oh my God, I just want to get this thing done. I'm some spoiled little brat, and I guess what I've been looking forward to is I have not taken a mini retirement vacation. I did not vacation last year for a lengthy period of time. So I'm not really talking about a week, 2 weeks. I'm talking about several weeks. So the very first thing I want to talk about, because I think a lot of people haven't experienced this, right? There's not very many people that I know, and this is something that's just so healing and so wonderful. And I'm going to explain why. I think necessary as well. So where and how do I vacation? I vacation very simple, so it's not what you think, that I'm in the Bahamas, with a banana hammock on, fucking, with Speedos on, and drinking Mai Tais on the white sand beaches. No, I don't prefer to spend my money that way. I like to actually travel in my vehicle, which you're hearing right now. It serves multiple purposes. When I'm working, it's my work truck. When I'm traveling with my children, it's our home. So we travel in this pickup truck, and we usually have our set places. Like there's a couple places where we'll visit shortly, like the deserts and stuff like that. See, I live in Sunnyside, California, Southern California, San Diego. So it's like Peter Pan's Island out here. You got the desert within a hour's drive. You got the ocean within a half-hour's drive. You've got the mountains within a half-hour's drive. Actually, the desert's probably about an hour's drive from where I'm at. So we'll go out and we'll do some things, but one of our favorite things to do is to get in this truck, not knowing how long we're going to stay out for. We load it up full of food, and we just take the Pacific Crest or the Pacific Coast Highway, and we travel up that all the way up north towards the California-Oregon border, and we stay at multiple places by the ocean, where the redwoods meet the ocean, right? Where the pine trees and this forest. It's just, that to me it's cold. It's not warm like I like it. Those of you who follow know I'm a weather bitch. But beautiful, crystal clear streams. We go to places where there's no cell phone reception, no nothing. And we just stay for as long as our food will last us. So I've got solar panels on here if anybody has been following me. I've got a rack on top. I've got like that you can stand on. You can put luggage if you want to. It's a big, giant 7.3 liter diesel crew cab. We make a little bed in the back seat. For those of you watching, you can see my youngest daughter sleeps in there. Me and my oldest daughter sleep on about a twin size, a little bigger than a twin size bed, with memory foam on it in the inside of the camper in the back. And we've got a fridge back there with a solar panel. We got lights, got ways to charge our cell phones, and all those kind of dealios. hot water. I've got a 20-gallon tank that I've kind of invented and got it up on the roof. So yeah, we're pretty much self-sustainable. And yeah, we'll go out to free places, and some places paid. It's very cheap, you know, like $20 a night or something. And we'll go where there's lots of driftwood on the beach and things like that, go fishing. So that's kind of how we go on vacation. It's very long drives. It's very difficult with a special needs daughter. You got to change diapers and stuff like that. So we try to drive about 6 hours, stop, get a hotel, drive another 6 hours. That's about 12 hours of driving total, which can get us about 1,000 miles out of where we're at. So yeah, we love the coastal regions. I'm not going to give away any of my secret spots because you know, they're actually starting to get quite popular. But I want to talk about what happens when you get out there and you start to adapt to your surroundings. This is one of the notes I have here. And slowly, I'm going to put two of these together. Slowly things start to fade away. We'll get into that. But as you're out there, I started getting a little bit of anxiety sleeping on the ocean. You know, I was like, what if there's a hurricane or a, you know, what is it, more likely up north is a tsunami? And I slowly started, all these things started to fade out after the tsunami didn't come the first night, the second night, the third night, the fourth night. And we just slowly started to relax. And my children, same thing. We noticed that there's no cell phone reception for one, so you can't really get on the phone. You can play games and things like that. But what we started noticing, you started getting more in tune with your surroundings. And where we're at, there's a lot of wild birds, and there's things like we've never seen before, like sea otters and stuff that are running on the beach, like where there's lagoons that meet the ocean. Sea otters going back and forth, and they're fishing, and sometimes there's salmon and steelhead right there and going through the rivers to the ocean. And just the morning when the sun comes up and the sun goes down, the stars, there was one just a beautiful moment. I think I shared this where I had a bonfire and I was sitting next to a lagoon, and the air was completely still. There was shooting stars that night, and when you looked down into the lagoon, it was like a mirror. Just it looked like a pool of outer space, like you can go swimming in outer space. And yeah, so you start really adapting to your surroundings. You start to relax. Simple necessities become comforting. And you start to find out that, you know, all you have is a little chair, you know, folding chair to sit on and fire and things like that. But you just really start adapting and getting very comfortable and not having your own bed to sleep in and having to shit in a hole in the ground. You know, we dig our own latrines and stuff like that. You know, you kind of don't mind it. In fact, I almost prefer it. You know, sitting there taking a dump while a bird lands on your shoulder, you know, you're like, what's up, buddy? You know, no embarrassment whatsoever. Probably too much information. Your sleeping habits change. And I noticed that it's very difficult for me to sleep. Sometimes I like to put a podcast on, the brain's going and everything. And I really think it's the negative ions, they call it. I don't know why it's negative. It doesn't sound good that way. So it would be better if they said positive, right? But they call it negative ions, where the stream's running and the ocean's going and there's water revving. It causes a frequency in the air and energy that's very soothing and relaxing. And the sound of the ocean going back and forth, I think, to me, just all of my kids, both my kids and me, we end up sleeping like babies, man, and we just get very, very rested up. So yeah, and things start to fade away. That's the significance, I think, is what I opened up with, is that everything that's important, like your job, you know, or your business you own and all that, after about a week and a half, I think, is when you really start to get some rest and relaxation, and you start to forget about stuff. And I think the significance is, as I said, this is not 1 to 2 weeks. This is like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you know. After you get past, like, in about a month of it, that shit's, all your business and stuff, that's long gone. You have thoughts, you know, while you're sitting there, you know, in the quiet, in the wilderness, just about your family, things you did. For the most part, you can't help but just to be absorbed into nature. And I think that it's very important to let these things fade away, at least a few times in people's lives. I prefer to do it every year. I think why I'm being a little bitch and want to go back again is, first of all, my oldest daughter, I don't know if she'll want to go with me again. She's getting to that age, you know. But doing it year after year, I just noticed how much I was recharged. And I'm skipping here, but I've called it a fully recharge instead of a partially self-recharge. It gets to the point to where when you're ready, when it's time to come back home, that you want to come back home. You start getting different perspectives. Things start opening up to you. And it doesn't really open up for me every once in a while I'm sitting on my chair having a beer or something and just maybe taking a nap in the sun. Things come to me where I'm like, oh, what do you want to do? And then it comes to the point where I'm like, I don't care because right now I'm camping, right? But it's a full recharge, and I think working for that, bringing it back to working for an hourly wage right now, it really kind of dulls the human spirit out, it feels like. And I think that if people could experience at least like 14-day vacation, so you can get just right there at the cusp of just complete abandonment, I think you would definitely get a recharge. And in fact, I've talked about this before about my mini retirements, aka these vacations, is that you actually function a hell of a lot better. Because as I said, when you're heading back home, and you literally, me and my kids, like, how do we know when to stop, right? Because we can stay there for like 2-3 months. We know when to stop is when we actually feel like it. Like, you guys ready to move on to another, go see something else? We're like, yeah, let's go see something else. And there comes a point where we're like, you know what? I kind of miss my friends and stuff. My daughter and my bed and our pet wild cat that just comes and goes at will. And then we're like, you guys ready to go home? And they're like, yeah, let's go home. And then we go home, and you're full blown ready. And dude, when I get back, I'm like, as I'm driving for 12 hours, the ideas that start popping into my head about what I'm going to do, like I'm almost ready to hit the ground running when I get home and really start charging on making new things happen and how can I do my business better. And like, I don't know, guys, other than it's for most human beings, I think, I know that it's radical. There's a lot of things that I do radical in my life. A lot of things I do extreme. It would seem extreme. I think they're not quite that extreme to me because I've been practicing them for many, many years. But that's the alternative lifestyle design. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. I think if people were to experience that just once in their life, they would understand where I'm coming from, where they'd say, I want that shit too, and I want that on a regular basis. It far exceeds going out to fancy dinners and movies and spending your money on shit that just doesn't, for what, a couple hours of pleasure, whereas this changes the course of your lives. I mean, like I said, we've been exposed. I've said it so many times. We got invited to a bear dance, a sacred bear dance by Native American Indians, and we danced with Indians around a fire. And that was probably, I mentioned that one because that one was just like the most brilliant that the thing we ever did. I mean, my daughters are still singing the Indian songs and stuff, and it was surreal. It was surreal. And yeah, I think that if people start to see these things, and maybe that's not your bag, but if you're able to devote yourself for weeks at something, whatever it is, some rest and relaxation, something to recharge your batteries, you kind of get spoiled. You kind of get fucked up by it in a good way, So that's the human experience, the way I look at it. You guys need to, I just wish that everybody could try it. I want to just articulate that feeling of freedom, of openness, of just true relaxation. I think when you experience something like that, you start to differentiate. You start to know, you know what, that's fake relaxation. That's partial recharge. No, I've experienced recharge. This ain't shit. And I think it's very unhealthy. And I think that that's why a lot of people are angry and a lot of people are sick, because they don't have that recharge. And you just keep going and going and going on that clock. And that clock fucking is just like it's a dead zone timer. It's just a thing that's just, to me, is slowly wearing you out. So guys, that's the show. I hope you guys can get out there. I hope I've inspired you guys. I know that this is very difficult for a lot of people to achieve, especially in the lifestyle designs that we have going on around us. It doesn't really allow much time. Everything's reined in and it's all on a timer and scheduled, and and living an alternative lifestyle, you get to put your own timer, you get to put your own schedule, and you get to do what it is that you want to do. And I think that's probably the allure, because lately I've actually been feeling like, man, what do you got to offer people? I feel like I'm not no rich guy. It's probably not so appealing to the majority, you know, to look at and go, well, you're going to live so simple, like tiny and stuff, and you're going to go do these things like time off. Like, I'd rather have my pizzas and, you know, my bars and clubs and whatever it is you're into. But I think that there's people out there that would enjoy, that want to do these things, that want to live life on their own terms and do things when they want, and kind of where you have your hand on the throttle instead of somebody else's hand on the throttle of the bike of life that you're riding. So that's the show, guys. If I brought you any value, if I entertained you, please like and subscribe. Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, a middle finger. I don't care. Let me know you're out there. Give me a review on this podcast. Help get the show off the ground. And if you want to message me with anything, it's upandinitshow@gmail.com. And it's Up and In It. You can find it on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere where I can do these podcasts. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friends.